Hi, and welcome to our Warrior Camp Longsword Assembly tutorial video. I want to include some instruction here that may not be obvious in our written guide. So for our youth Warrior Camp Longsword, we have three basic pieces: the crossguard assembly, the blade and handle assembly, and the foam blade cover. So the first thing we're going to do is glue the three caps onto our pieces of PVC, two on the crossguard, one on the handle end of the blade handle assembly. Insert the two cross arms into the cross. The cross needs to be reamed through the north-south or 12 to 6 axis so that it slides along the blade. This is not two pieces of PVC inserted into a cross, because that creates a weak point that will break. So with the cross reamed out, we're going to slide it over the blade, bring it down 9 inches from the end of the handle, and drill through the entire thing. So there's a hole going through the crossguard and the blade assembly. With that in place, I'm going to lock the crossguard assembly onto the blade handle with a zip tie going through the hole and out the other side, like that. And generally, I put the attachment point for the zip tie at the top of the blade so that it's here. That makes it nicely out of the way of anybody's thumb, so you don't have a sharp edge against the kid's thumb when they're trying to use the sword. Tighten that down all the way so that the zip tie is held firmly, and then cut off the end of the zip tie with a pair of diagonal cutters. I'd repeat that with a second zip tie to add a little bit of strength so that you have a zip tie joint on either side of the crossguard on the top. That holds the crossguard assembly and the blade handle assembly together nicely. With those in place, probably the most important safety aspect of this is we need to cover the point end of the sword with a good solid layer of tape so that it doesn't push through, as we'll see in a moment, doesn't push through the foam. So I make a cross of duct tape over the end, and then an end wrap around to hold all of that in place nicely. There are 2 layers of duct tape over the pipe end of the sword so that it's a solid end, so that when we put the foam blade cover on, slip that down into place nice and snugly against the crossguard. With that in place, there's now an 1.5 inch void inside where that tape on the end of the pipe is presenting a solid surface on the end of the sword. I want to insert a foam filler in there. I usually just cut a little, you'll have plenty of extra foam scraps from the pool noodles. Just cut a quarter piece or a little sliver of foam off of an unused piece of pool noodle and insert it in here. You can see in this one I've pulled the insert out of the sword that we already had assembled. That's going to fill in that void inside the tip of the sword nicely so that you have a good cushiony foam surface between the tip of the sword and any piece of pipe that might potentially make contact. Again, that piece of tape that we put over the tip of the PVC pipe in there is what keeps it from pushing through and out the end. That can create a real danger if somebody gets contacted with that pipe. So that foam on the end there is what keeps that pipe well protected from human contact. With that, so little piece of foam, you may need 2 just to fill in the space there. But what I'm doing is filling in that void with a little bit of foam And then again, do a nice cross of duct tape and a wrap around the end to hold it in place. Put a piece of duct tape along the edges of the sword to help protect that foam from getting cut and ripped and beat up. Tape down around the edge of down around the arms of the cross to hold the foam in place. And you've got your warrior camp sword that's ready to be used. As always, swords in the hands of kids should always be supervised by adults, and proper safety gear, including fencing mask and throat protection, should always be worn when using these swords. Hopefully that is helpful and instructive, and I hope you have a lot of fun with your warrior camp swords.